More deadly riots breaking out in the Mideast today. Reports of up to 20 anti-government protesters killed in a, quote, day of rage in Libya. 3 dead in Bahrain. Violence also flaring up in Yemen. And Iran saying it has warships steaming towards the Suez Canal at this hour, although Egypt has not yet confirmed that. But in the middle of all this, the U.S. government signing on to a UN statement blasting Israel. Fox News national security analyst KT McFarland joins me now. KT, the UN is getting involved in this, and we have to be involved in it with the UN. Explain this this document that we signed on to.
Okay, well, what the United Nations is trying to do, and a lot of the Arab and Muslim countries, they're trying to distract everybody's attention. You know, right now the world is not focused on the Israeli-Palestinian negotiations at all. The world is focused on everything that you're showing right now, demonstrations of country after country after country. But what this is an attempt to do is, yet again, whenever the United Nations isn't quite sure what else to do, let's go bash Israel. So this is an attempt to say that the Israeli settlements on the West Bank are illegal. And everybody should agree that they're illegal. Now, the United States historically has either abstained or vetoed, and the United States is trying to do a preemptive move to maybe agree to a lesser condemnation and not have to declare it illegal. But I think, Chris, what this is really all about is it's a prelude to a UN resolution that the Muslim states, and particularly the Palestinians, are going to try to introduce later, which is to declare the Palestinian territories a state, to just go ahead and say, forget about the Israeli-Palestinian negotiations, we declare Palestine a state on the West Bank, and then leave it up to the United States to either veto or to abstain, but in some way what this does is force the issue away from what we all really want to care about, which is what's happening to every one of these countries in North Africa, in the Middle East, and now the Gulf.
Well, let's talk about that, KT. What's happening with all of these various nations? I mean, we're seeing right now video from Libya, which was a very violent protests overnight. Can we look at these nations differently? In other words, Yemen versus Libya versus Jordan, whereas some of the protests may be more beneficial, if you could call it that, beneficial toward our interests versus some of the others?
Well, I think that every state, every nation has its own set of specific circumstances, but there are a couple of things that are applicable to all of them. They all have very large youth populations. They all have very high youth unemployment and very poor prospects for what happens next economically. And all of them are governed by aging, autocratic leaders who have no real succession plan other than to hand it on to the wife, the son, the brother. So there's a lot of reasons for unrest in all of them. I think if you look at this, what's likely to happen? Well, how does it affect us, the United States? Well, this is a time, frankly, where the United States can be active in a country like Egypt. They have overthrown their autocrat dictator, and to them now they've got a couple of months to figure it out. Can they build all the institutions that they need? Because Egypt, for example, for over 5,000 years, they've never had self-government. They don't have political parties. They don't have freedom of the press. They don't have an independent judiciary. They need all that stuff before elections. We can help with all that.
Well, one thing they do have is suspicion of the United States, and just about everybody in that region does, so I'm a little concerned about that.
Well,
KT?
but Chris, they never burn the American flag in any of these demonstrations.
All right. Not yet. Thank you, KT. We appreciate it.